there have been quite a few improvements to layers, and in particular in the context of using markups with layers and being able to assign markups to layers, which is something that many of our customers have been asking for us to tackle for quite a long time now. So to get started, I'll show you some of the features now available. I can take any particular markup. I'll take a pen here, I'll add a text box here, and now when I right click on any annotation, I have this layer option now, and right now this particular markup's not on a layer, but I have the option to create a new layer. We'll call it Don Markup. And now that I've created that, I can right click and assign that particular markup to that layer that's been created, that's been there already. Also, if I wanted to, I could go create a second layer. So we'll call this Bob Markup. No, we'll just do that, Bob Markup. So now this particular PDF now has two different layers in it because of the fact that I've created those new layers. I can see that by opening up my panel here, and I'm on my layers panel here. If it's not there, you can always just go Show and toggle it on here. You can also pin it on if you want. And by checking or unchecking the option here, the eyeball there within that panel, you can make all the markups appear or disappear. So you can turn on whichever particular layers you want. Also, as these annotations are getting added into the PDF, there's a new layer column that's here. And if you don't see that on, open up the columns drop down, and you should see the option to choose a layer. I think it went off the recording screen, but there is an option to choose a layer. So that's how you get access to those. And there's all the things you can do with the markup list, doing a sorting, filtering, all of that is available, just because as far as Revu is concerned, this is another column in the markups list. So that's a couple of things about how to add the layers. Now also I've set up a couple of different tool sets that have default layers assigned. So right here I have this carpentry punch, and you see that a couple of the symbols here have been assigned to a layer. So it's really cool because now as I start to drop, imagine that I'm punching a room here, or a floor for a project. As I add those items, they're now on the carpentry punch layer, and I can toggle those on and off. And I think I had the electrical punch. I added a couple of punch symbols here. So just the fact that now I'm taking these and putting those symbols in this particular PDF, now those layers automatically get created, and I can toggle all those on or off however I want. I want to see Bob's markups and the electrical markups, I can do that. So really cool way to be able to add markups. One last thing I'll mention about the markup layers is there's a way where I can set up a default layer. So say that all the annotations I'm about to place in a PDF, I want to have those go to the Don markup. I right click and I select the markup layer. Revu's telling me that all the annotations are about to go to the markup layer. I get this symbol here indicating that this is basically the live dynamic markup layer. So now as I start to add these annotations, when I right click on them, I'll see that the layer it's assigned to is Don Markup. And I can see also that that still is my active layer. So any sort of annotation now, when I go put those in, set the properties, do whatever I want with them, they're all in that Don Markup. So as soon as I toggle it off, those will go away. So really a lot of different options for being able to get those different annotations on the different layers. Another thing that I can do is flatten. So this has been another heavily requested feature of Revu, is the ability to take these annotations and flatten them to a layer. So as an example here, I'm going to right click with all of these annotations selected. I could do it by layer, or if I want to just have them all the annotations go to their own respective layers, right click, and when I flatten markups, I'm going to uncheck that assign layer, because now when I go to flatten, it'll automatically take all those annotations in the markup list. They don't show up anymore because they're not annotations, but they are elements that are on different layers, so I can go toggle those on and off till my heart's content. So a lot of capabilities within Revu related to layers. So, and also, of course, I had the allow markup recovery on flatten. So when I go to unflatten, I can choose, say I want to pull all those annotations back. I can always go and flatten them, and now when I do that, I have the option, Revu recognizes that there's some annotations that have been flattened to a particular layer. And so I go to unflatten, and magically those annotations all come back such that I can work with them. So some really cool new capabilities within Revu for working with markups and layers. I'll briefly mention a couple other quick things about layers too. You can reorder the layers just by simply dragging and dropping, or reordering by just grabbing the layers and moving them around as you like. You can also delete layers. So say I wanted to delete all the content that's basically on the electrical and Bob markup layer. I can either right click and delete, or I can click the delete button here. Now what's interesting about this too, when I go to delete, is I have two options. Oftentimes a layer can contain the page content. So as example, the floor plan in this particular PDF, that's the page content. If there's different elements on different layers, by default Revu will delete that content, and Revu knows the difference between the page content and the annotations that are on a layer. So as an example, say I wanted to keep all the page content but just get rid of all the layer information that, or the annotations that are on a layer. I can do that related to those particular items, or I could just get rid of everything here. So I can fine-grain control whether I want the annotations and the page content, or just the annotations, or just the page content. Once I delete that, Revu will update and basically remove all that information from the PDF, so that you'll see certain markups now are gone because I've effectively deleted those pages. So deleting, another thing that people have been asking for a long time, now they're in Revu.